exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think people will be excited to see uncensored and see you on there. I think it'll bring a little happiness, to them.
But well, I hope that I'm bringing a little happiness and some joy in
Yeah,
these times that are rough, and I'm sending nothing but love, especially for those who are, dealing with not only the shutdown and the pandemic, and the fact that there's a lot of people who've been out of work, who have
yeah,
not been able to do and provide, and their livelihood have
yeah,
been altered. Their livelihood has been destroyed in some cases. People who have lost loved ones. I mean, we're just losing loved ones, all the time when we're hearing about it and we're seeing these traumatic things that are happening. So, if I can add just a little, a moment just to, make people feel a little better,
yeah,
and enjoy some good energy. I'm
yeah.
sending that good energy and I'm sending that good vibes.
Yeah, I got to watch a advanced copy last night. And I was like, I don't know anything about Larenz Tate. Like, I know your work, but like, you're never gonna wake up and read a crazy article like Larenz Tate said this or anything. So it was good to see that. What made you like interested in doing the episode?
Well, Uncensored has, they've done some really, really good, work and some
Yeah,
good shows in the past, and really getting a chance to allow individuals to share their point of view, their journey. And because I'm fairly low key when it comes to my personal life, I thought it would be, they know how to protect and take care of things. And so, you get a chance to hear it from my perspective and my point of view. And I thought that it would be nice for people to, understand my journey and hear me talk about some of my experiences, whether it's been in the business in Hollywood for 3 decades, or some personal things in my family and, my friends, all of that stuff. I thought it would be great to share some of my, knowledge, or some of the wisdom, or some of the things that I have been able to gain over, my 40 plus years, my almost 45 years on this planet. So, I feel like my personal life is private in the sense that, privacy is a superpower,
mm,
in my opinion.
yeah,
It's not secretive, and I think people kind of misconstrue that a little bit.
yeah,
What you got to hide?
absolutely.
My personal business is my personal business, and
Yeah,
I don't have a director or a writer or people around or an audience
yeah.
in my, and I like it that way. I make, a living from making believe being other people. So when it's time for me to be who I am, that's for me and the people that are in my life in real time.
Yeah,
So that's why I've always sort of, people know me for my work, and I never really got into the industry to be famous. I was very young,
yeah,
coming from Chicago. My mother and father brought my brothers, Laron and Lamar, along with me to California, and we got in performing art school, and entertainment came after. And so it wasn't for the purpose of being famous,
yeah,
because people say that I act crazy, or so whatever it is. And that's fine with people, want to be
yeah,
famous.
yeah,
Fame is, it's a thing that we all have a little bit of that, that vanity that we, people like us, right?
right,
But for me, that was never my intentions. I would, early on, I would always downplay it. So I feel like, it's been one of those things that has allowed me to sustain a career for so long, because for me, I'm about the journey. I'm
yeah,
about all the taking it all in,
yeah,
and going the distance as opposed to the sprint.
yeah,
And with my career, I kind of want people to know me for that. You know what I mean?
hmm,
Because I put so much time and effort into it. take life experiences that I've gone through and then, you know, give it to the world when I find cool projects or when I'm doing my artistry. And so anything else when it comes to the fame, I'm cool. I got friends who always say, man, you hate being a celebrity. One of my boys, Bill Bellamy, actor, comedian.
Yes.
He's funny, one of my closest homies. This is my road dog, my brother. We're out, and Bill is the kind of dude that doesn't mind stopping. And I'll stop and speak to people, but Bill, you know, Bill want to have
He's ready.
Bill want to take people's phone. Let me call your mama and let me so they can see Bill Bellamy. I'm like, yo, dude, we got a flight to catch.
Right.
Picture, sweetie. I take a picture. That's good to see you, sister. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Let's do it. If we want to move. Now, if we're in a restaurant and we talking, the Bill like, yeah, come on. I'm like, bro.
That's hilarious.
When we finish eating,
right.
I can do that. Now, one of my buddies is a lot like me. In that sense, like, you know, when we're out and about, it's cool, but let us finish eating. I got friends who just eat it up. I got homies. Yeah. And I'm like, it's cool, but he's like, man, you hate being a celebrity. You hate people noticing you. I'm like, nah, let's just be regular. Let's just be like normal. You know what I'm saying? You can't be normal. You can't be regular. Oh, dog, and I'm like, Bill. But that's our thing, and but it's a nice reminder that people actually care about what you do.
Absolutely.
And so that it means a lot to me. So, you know, I do as much as I possibly can to speak to people, take pictures when it's appropriate. Usually, you know, again, I'm just like, I kind of see myself because when I'm around my family and my loved ones and my close friends, you know, I'm just me, you know what I mean? So I guess I've never really gotten super comfortable with, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And it kind of shows when I'm with my family, because when I'm out with my wife and my children, I'm easy. I tell everybody, I'm gonna come holler at y'all, but right now, I'm dad, and they don't care. They don't care about none of that. With y'all, they don't care. They care zero about that. So I have to be this, and then if and when it's appropriate, I'll step aside and be that guy. Okay. But who know me before I was a family man.
Yeah, I feel like that answers my question, because you talked about like don't believe your own hype, and I was like, how can you not, like, being in these roles, people talk about how fine you are every day, like, how do you not believe your own hype? If I was Larenz Tate, I would be believing my hype.
Listen, don't get caught up in that, man, because you get so caught up into your own hype. It's one thing to be confident and to understand and place value on yourself and what you're capable of doing and who you are. But when you get caught up into all of the things that people are saying, you know, then you get caught up in that moment, and that moment becomes your everyday life. Those people who said that you was whatever that was in the moment, they believe it in the moment, and you have taken it now, and now you living it now, and you get caught up. And what's crazy is like I said, when it comes to like fame and doing and celebrity, for me, I always felt that celebrity and fame, it comes with something. It comes with a talent. It comes with a job or a profession, or it comes with a skill. Or it comes with something, right? That's what it was for me, and that's what it still is. Whereas today, it doesn't. You don't have to have a skill. No, you don't have a profession. You don't have to necessarily be an expertise in any one way or another. You don't have to be gifted and talented in any capacity. You don't have to have whatever. And as long as you're pushing whatever is in the moment at the time, and I see a lot of moments happening.
Yeah, you're right.
unfortunately, those moments are what they are. That's why they call moments. That's what it is. It's a moment. And people don't understand that's what it is. And so I'm seeing a lot of people going fast, moving fast, going nowhere. But it's fine, you know? I mean, I'm not knocking it. It is what it is. And I can never be a one to say, you know, when it comes to celebrity, if they people trying to find ways to monetize that or find ways to, you know, provide for themselves, I think if there can be some level of integrity in it where you ain't being toxic and tearing other folk down.
Yeah.
You know, do what you got to do. Who am I to make that assessment or judgment or opinion? I just feel like for me, it needs to be tied to something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, you know, you've talked about, you know, not being on camera as much as you want. And like after Menace to Society, Rose and Come, Why Do Fools Fall in Love, Rose and Come. And I just need an explanation because I'm like, I see other actors who don't have the range and they're in things. So, you know, are you turning down things you don't want? You know, not playing the game? Like, what is it, do you think?
I think it's a combination of it all. You know, again, I'm in it for the marathon. I'm in it for the long haul. I get a chance to go along the path that I am, and I'm able to stop and smell the flowers and the roses and continue to move on. And for me, I feel like where I, you know, saw myself when we talked about the uncensored episode, you'll kind of see me talk about a bunch of movies that I was doing early on. And then things kind of, you know, slowed down in terms of the spotlight of me doing these kinds of roles because each of them were different, but it kind of slowed down. And I never wanted to be held in one, you know, genre of film or one kind of character. You know, if we talked about a movie like Menace to Society, that was my first feature film, right? And my first movie debut. But then I went to go do The Inkwell.
Yeah.
I wanted to switch it completely up. And then after The Inkwell, boom, I went to go do Dead Presidents. Mm-hmm. So that I had in my mind that, you know, I believe I have range. If I have the opportunity, I'll get there. I'll hit the target. Mm-hmm. But I found that I understood that the business was such that you have to, in order to really have a long career like that, you know, where's the money? Are these movies box office, are they bankable? Yeah. And, you know, I feel like I certainly can if we have the machine behind you, the Hollywood machine, win, lose, or draw, they're gonna push because you have the goods. Yeah. Not always the case. Yeah. And so if they wanted to push me or present things that I've already done, I felt like I've already accomplished that. Let's move on to something else. And they kind of, you know, well, you kind of in this box and you look a little young here and you maybe not hit this and you may not be, you're not 6'5", even though I'm 6'3.5".
I thought you were. I thought so. Okay.
In my mind. Then I get off this chair and I'm still saying, that ain't me, nigga. Look, you see, that ain't me.
I see you.
I'm in a high chair too. Anyway. I'm in my son's high chair. But no, I just felt like they kind of, you know, I would see myself differently. And I placed a different value upon myself than I felt people in Hollywood placed on me. So I found myself, the movie business had changed quite a bit. And so I found myself not doing some of the same things that they wanted me to do. And so, you know, there was a long time where you didn't really see me doing a lot of the films because Hollywood switches it up all the time. Mm-hmm. Once they're happy with whatever they've done and got the money, they'll move on to something else, especially when it comes to black films and black storytellers and black experiences. And I'm like, we can't keep telling the same black experience. We're not monolithic. Mm-hmm. And there's like, this is that time. If you ever think about it, when we had all the movies like Juice and Boys and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then nothing.
Jack City, which I love those movies. And then that's it. And then you went on to like, you know, we had movies like Love Jones, and you had like Love and Basketball, you had like Soul Food, and then that was done. And then you went into the happy, the happy comedy movie. And it's like, whoa. Who's running this show here, man?
Exactly.
Who running this show? Find out a lot of people that look like you and I are not running it. We might have some directors, but we were not represented in the rooms, right? That make the decisions of what movies to do, what movies and TV shows to get behind and put the machine behind. And not just one, but a combination of them. And it was like, nah, that director and producer is hot, so everybody got to go through that production company. And we're like, wait a minute, but they don't do the movies that we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. And they know that. So when you go through that one tunnel, and you're like, hey, or you go to that, try to get to that keyhole, and the brothers and sisters like, hey, we don't make those movies. They already knew that.
Yeah, it was a setup.
Hey, they didn't. What they gonna do those movies? They do gospel movies only. What we talking about? You can't. I can't have saying the crazy baby robbing, caper, and Monaco.
Right.
When they doing the the gospel joints, you can't.
Right.
It's dead on arrival.
Exactly.
So I started getting hip to it, and so I just said, you know what, we got to start doing our own thing. Linking up with other, filmmakers and directors and people, and do stories that we really care about. Finding ourselves doing that, working with people that are like-minded, and finding a network within Hollywood that understands that. And we, so I started popping up in movies and doing this and doing that. But we would always find that the people who are operating and making the decisions, they're changing. So the friends that you had, they're no longer there. But you keep going into this, and it's not people that really are representing us. There's not a lot of Black men that are really making those decisions. There's not a lot of Black women, people of color, various genders, sexual preferences. All of that was not really represented. It was just like kind of like one thing, very monolithic. And so we was like, there has to be another way, because if I would always tell executives, if you were outside of America and you only looked at Hollywood movies, you would assume that everybody was George Clooney and Roberts in America.
Absolutely.
Represent what America really looks like.
Yep.
And how it really functions.
Yep.
It's like that it was like the gold standard. That thing. And I'm saying, okay, now they'll have a few Black folks that'll come in and have like colossal careers. It's like just out of this world. Like no one can be on this planet with this brother or sister, right?
Yeah.
But that's just that brother and that sister. So I'm like, okay, that's cool to have 1, 2, 3 to their 300.
Right.
Like we got to spread it out some, because we have talented artists that are in front of the camera, behind us, but also executives. There are a lot of people who are smart in finances, and smart in businesses and in marketing, and it's just it goes far beyond what we were dealing with, right? And so you're dealing with marketing companies and folk, and we have Black folks or people in color in these things, and you're like, why would you market it to like middle America?
Exactly.
Why don't you market it to all that we know? We know how this works, right? Or when we're doing publicity, whatever it is, why aren't we being represented? Why aren't we on the main level as our counterparts?
Yeah.
And so I would find that out a lot, and not that I'm complaining at all, because I have to say that because oftentimes when you share experiences as such as I'm saying, some folk could assume that it's a complaint, and it's not. Yeah. I'm just pointing out the reality of it all. Yeah. And and by no means, am I saying cry for me at all, because there's no need to cry for me. We can continue to joy and push forward, because I'm all good. I've been blessed, and I'm more than blessed on
Yeah.
so many levels. So, but there is a reality behind it,
Yeah.
you know, that in this industry that I've experienced over the, you know, past 3 decades, we have earned as Black people a right to sit at the table to
Yeah.
make the decisions. One, because we are some of the top consumers of all things, especially entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
We consume it all.
Exactly.
So if you get our money, right,
Right.
then we should have a seat at the table.
Absolutely.
That's fair exchange,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And it doesn't even matter if these big action films have one Black person. You know how many Black people going to see that? You know how many Black kids are going to see these movies?
Mm-hmm.
You know we're going to show up. So we have earned, and we've earned our right to have a voice, whether it's in marketing, publicity, whether it's in executives that are greenlighting. Greenlight means that people decide we are now going to do this project.
Yeah.
You know, how much money is going to go there? Oh, you thinking about giving Girls Trip that amount of money? No, that you need to give them this amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to pushing. So you have, you know, a lot of advocates who are saying, listen, we really need to do a movie like Girls Trip.
Exactly. By the way, is the second one coming? Have they talked to you?
I don't know. I think they should.
Yeah.
You know, whether I'm in it or not, I think it would be great to see sisters celebrating each other and Black women in their just in their best and showing different levels of who they are and who we can be and reaching their full potential. So I think they should. Made a lot of money off of it. On top of it, why not? It's good business, and it's also good representation. So, but you know those movies, like we should have more versions of those films.
Right.
But one,
they're done.
I don't know. I'm not in those rooms over there. I'm sure the conversation has been had many times, but I don't know what's the case. But my point of it all is like, you know, we need to continue to be the voice for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think Hollywood oftentimes, and the reason why I keep talking about Hollywood, the entertainment industry that I've had such a long relationship with, I have to be very honest, like they have a predetermined idea of what is palatable and what is to the liking to the masses. Mm-hmm. They've already predetermined what Black movies are gonna be okay and what's not. And I think we should be the deciding factor of that.
Right.
I mean, we need to have, if we're not the ultimate deciding factor, that we have a large voice in the decision making and also how to operate it. And so I speak from an industry that I've grown up in since I was 10, young boy coming from Chicago along with my brothers. And there has been a lot of great things that has happened in my career. I couldn't be more happy, but I can say that there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. Yeah. And there's a lot of things that we need to continue to do as we see the world unfold. Yeah. It's certainly our time to do more and beyond Hollywood, you know, when it comes to how we as a community relate to one another, how we unite and unify. Good things happen when Black folks unify.
Right. Exactly. Absolutely.
It's just what it is. It's just good things happen. Mm-hmm. We're not monolithic, so we all kind of got different ideas and different approaches. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But all of those different ideas and those approaches should be considered. Yeah. When you do a business, consider everything within reasons, in what's in good decency and good taste, and that's not toxic, obviously. Yeah. And so, we don't have to have one approach. That's what makes it so great. We have so many different ideas and different approaches, but the unification and the unity of us is important, and it's time. We're 2020. We don't have to continue to look for the approval of other folk to decide when we ready to unify, when we ready to do something, and what it means for us to say, this is what we need, this is what we want, and this is what we're gonna get. Bottom line, we don't need somebody else's approval for that. We need our own approval.
Exactly.
We've earned that.
Yep. I'm switching gears for 2 minutes if I still have you. Okay. So you also talked about your wife in Uncensored and how you met. And I'm like, now help me understand this 6-year dating period where you were like, you know, I love the ladies, so if you wanna roll with what I'm doing, it's okay. You know, in 2020 they call that wasting time. I'm like, what did that look like?
You know, when I met my wife, I met her 20 years ago. Okay. We've been rocking for 20 years.
Yeah.
And when I met her, I certainly wasn't looking to settle down. I was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? What's happening? It's funny, and you guys will, I think you'll be able to see it in the Uncensored piece. I kind of briefly talked about how we met, and it was one of those dynamics where, like, you know, we were all at an event, and one of my mans was like, yo, I'm about to holler at this girl. She had a friend. Keep her friend occupied. And I'm like, man, I ain't playing a wingman, bro. I'm good on a wingman. I'm good. And I was like, all right, well, I got you. And I met my wife, or the woman who eventually became my wife. My homie and the other young lady, they didn't get 5 minutes. They knew they hated each other.
Oh no.
But me and that I meet, we wind up hitting it off. Really just on some cool, chill, we ain't in a rush for nothing. She thought I was a little arrogant, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm not arrogant, I'm just, you know, I'm kind of, I'm not believing my own hype. I'm just saying, at the time I had long hair, I was like, I just braid my hair. What's up? Can you braid hair? Because that was a prerequisite. And she said, what you mean braid your hair? I was like, yo, if your fingers can't get these cornrows. Anyway, we hit it off, and we had a really nice time, and we just, you know, were friends for a little bit. You know, I was like, look, listen, I ride with you, but I gotta wiggle some of this.
Oh my God.
I got some of these things off. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here. Streets, you know what I'm saying? And
she told the truth. That's one point.
I told the truth. I was like, you know, I had to wing something. You couldn't expect off top. And we had that conversation not long ago, you know what I'm saying? Years ago. And she was like, what you mean you was winging? I was like, come on, I didn't know you was going to be my wife. You see, I hit her with that. I didn't know you was going to be my wife.
She was like, get out of here.
We've been rocking for a long time, you know, 20 years and 4 children later. Right. Still in it. And, you know, I think the important thing is just being compatible. You know, a lot of egos have to be, you know, checked at the door. We have to find ways to really be a unit in how we gel together and what that one unit, that spirit is. Now, clearly, you're individuals, and I don't think that you should lose your individuality in a relationship. Not at all. I think you should do it. But you have to understand within you being that individual, you have to be able to fit into that unit. Yeah. And so we both do it, and it's work. Sometimes it's seamless, and it's just kind of, you know, melts together, and it's perfect and it's solid. And then sometimes it's a little, because you're growing and you're changing and different things, and you have different, you know, perspectives on things. And then a lot of your upbringing, right? Absolutely. Begins to bleed into who you are. And the longer you're with somebody, you're like, hey, man, what is that? Right. What is that? No, what is that? What right? So we do it, but a lot of it is a reflection of sometimes your upbringing. And this is why I always tell my wife, I was like, because we have 4 sons, right? Yeah. 4 boys. And I'm like, look, I always go with statistics. She's like, stats. You go. Hey, girl, get off the stats. No, for real, listen. They say that statistically, children between the ages of 10 and 12, to their habits, they lock into the habits of
Okay.
whatever, whether they picking up their clothes or they're washing the dishes, they're doing their home, whatever it is, whatever the habits are, by the time they hit adolescence, that's what it is. That's why so many people find it a little challenging when you're dealing with preteens, because you can't just leave stuff in socks and stuff and your underwear in front of the doorstep, right? Right? But if they wasn't told, and that wasn't one of those things that was instilled early on, I always tell my boys, man, you don't want to be this person, man. You're going to be, a woman going to be like, dude.
Right. What is
training? Ain't your daddy?
Exactly. That's what's happening.
And I'm trying to tell y'all right now. And so I start finding that even with myself, even with my wife, things that we probably were used to growing up as children or young adults, you begin to bring that into your adult life. And that just on just mentality, how you talk to someone. Like and I'm not on some soapbox here, but like, I think communication is really, really important. And the more you communicate, at least have you got to have some kind of something to communicate, however you communicate. And as long as it's not toxic, especially as it relates to young people, children seeing your mother and father. And the one thing about us, I said, listen, whenever we're dealing with the children, and I think it would be great for us to have some unity. We need some solidarity. Like, they need to see us as a unit. So we can disagree, but it shouldn't be crazy. If we're going to disagree, let's do it behind closed doors with just me and you. Because I ain't doing all this with them.
Exactly.
We doing it with each other. So let's get this behind closed doors and figure it out. Because when like my mother and father found a way, I see them used to argue a little bit, but they were at least mindful, because moms wasn't going for it, number one. They ain't gonna be cussing me out in front of them.
Right, absolutely not.
My mother come from 13. She got 6 brothers. So my mama's the second oldest. And so she like, look, you can talk to. No, I'm not calling my brother. I'm gonna handle this right here. So I ain't calling my So my mama and my father is like, he come from a lot of brothers and sisters too. He come from 8. So they found a way to communicate with each other. Yeah. And so I that with my wife, I was like, look, if I'm getting upset and let's do this not around them, or I need to hold it. Now, sometimes, my kids need to see all of me. They need to see the nice me, the fun me. They need to see the angry me. They need to see the brother who ready to, tear up stuff. But you have to be able to understand there's a bigger picture, especially when you have children involved. Yeah. And what you do now will carry along with them. Absolutely. So my sons, we ain't gonna be, wilding out and doing crazy things with women where you are toxic, calling them crazy names and putting hands. We ain't doing all that. We ain't doing all that. My mother always said, if you are in a situation and it gets really to a point where, it's physical and all that, you don't need to be in it. It's just not. And some people, deal with that, right? Yeah. And it happens to people or relationships, but it shouldn't be something that is normalized. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And that's one thing we instill. Like, you don't want to be. Don't normalize. Whether it's a woman hitting on a man hitting on a woman, just any of that stuff is we have to unlearn a lot of those things that have really affected not only our families but us as a group. Absolutely. And so my wife and I, we have a communicating relationship, and it's great. It's not easy, but we rock it. 20 years.
20 years, right?
Hey, catch up.
Some of us are trying. Look, it's rough out here. Right. But thank you so much. This was amazing. So good talking with you.
I appreciate you. And again, in this time right now, just continue to, look out for those who are important to you. Look out for yourself. And, the Creator is gonna show favor.
Yes.
Certainly will. Bless you and
Thank you.
everybody watching. All right. Appreciate
Thank
y'all.
you. Take care.
See you.
Bye.